Cambridge IGCSE Chemistry Paper 2, Specimen Paper for Examinations in 2020. Continued from our previous video, we're starting from question 21. The red color in some pottery glazes may be formed as a result of the reactions shown. These equations show that something is oxidized and something is reduced. Which substances correctly complete gaps 1 and 2 in the above sentence? We say a substance is oxidized when it gains oxygen and reduced when it loses oxygen. CuCO3 here lost oxygen and became CuO. It was reduced. CuO here again lost oxygen, became Cu, and was reduced. SNO gained an oxygen atom and became SNO2, so it has been oxidized. Therefore, the answer is D. SNO is oxidized and CuO is reduced. Question 22. Acids are compounds which donate protons, hydrogen ions. Which compound in this equation is behaving as an acid? Basically, which compound gave a hydrogen ion to another compound? Ammonia, NH3, became NH4+, which means it received a hydrogen ion, so nope. Ammonium hydroxide is referring to the combination of these two compounds, NH4OH, and this cannot be the answer because ammonia did not react as an acid in the first place. Water, H2O, became OH-, which means it has lost one hydrogen ion and donated it to NH3. So water here behaves as an acid. Question 23. The reactions of 4 different oxides, W.X Y and Z, are shown. Which row shows the correct types of oxide? We have to decide whether they are acidic, basic, amphoteric, or neutral. W reacts with hydrochloric acid but not sodium hydroxide. This indicates that W is a basic oxide since it reacted with an acid but not with a basic substance. X reacts with both hydrochloric acid and sodium hydroxide. X is therefore amphoteric as amphoteric substances react with both an acid and a base. Y does not react with either hydrochloric acid or sodium hydroxide. If it reacts with neither of them, it means that it's neutral at pH 7. Z reacts with sodium hydroxide but not hydrochloric acid. Reaction with a base but not an acid. This is a property of an acid, so Z is an acid. The answer is D. Question 24. A solution contains barium ions and silver ions and one type of anion. What could the anion be? The question is talking about a solution, so the barium and silver compounds should be soluble in water. Which anion type with barium and silver allows them to dissolve in water? This is about solubility of salts. Take a look at this table. We can see that all nitrates are soluble, so our answer can be nitrate. For chlorides, all are soluble except silver and lead chloride, so this cannot be the answer since only silver compounds that dissolve in water are accepted. For sulfates, all are soluble except we have barium sulfate here, so again this cannot be the answer. We need barium compounds that are soluble in water. Therefore the answer is B, nitrate only, as silver nitrate and barium nitrate are soluble in water. Question 25. A mixture containing 2 anions was tested and the results are shown below. Which anions were present? Test 1. When dilute nitric acid was added, there was effervescence of a gas which turned lime water milky. Test 2. When dilute nitric acid was added, followed by aqueous silver nitrate, yellow precipitate was formed. For test 1, it said the lime water turned milky, and this only happens when carbon dioxide is present, which means from our options from A to D, instead of sulfate, carbonate was present. For test 2, this is actually the test of halide ions, testing for chloride, bromide, or iodide ions. You need to know the test of anions and the results by heart for questions like this. So from this table, you can see the results after dilute nitric acid and silver nitrate are added. Our table said yellow precipitate was formed, so it's iodide ions that were present in the mixture. The answer is B, carbonate and iodide. Question 26. Part of the periodic table is shown. The letters are not the chemical symbols of the elements. Which statement about the elements is not correct? A. W has 2 electrons in the outermost shell. W is in group 2, so yep, it will have 2 electrons in the outermost shell. B. Y is in the group 4 of the periodic table. Correct. Y is in the 4th column, so it's in group 4. C. X and Y bond covalently to form a molecule XY4. Okay, X and Y can bond covalently because one is a metal and the other one is a non-metal. But instead of XY4, it will be X4Y because Y has 4 electrons in the outermost shell and X has 7 electrons in the outermost shell. So you'll need 4 X atoms and 1 Y atom to complete their outermost shell like this. X4Y instead of XY4. This is the incorrect answer. D. Z has more metallic character than Y. For metals in group 1 to 4, the metallic character across the group decreases. Therefore, Z has more metallic character than Y, and this is correct. Question 27. Astidine is an element in group 7 of the periodic table. It has only ever been produced in very small amounts. What are the likely properties of astidine? Let's take a look at the periodic table. Astidine is here below iodine. For group 7 elements, their colors will become darker down the group. So the color should be either dark brown or black because iodine is purple and astidine should have a darker color than purple. For its state, it is actually solid, and you'll know this if you have come across this element before. But it's okay if you don't know that. We can move on to the next column to decide. Reaction with aqueous potassium iodide. Since the reactivity decreases down the group for group 7, astidine is less reactive than iodide. Therefore, it is not able to displace iodide from potassium iodide, and there will be no reaction. In that case, A is the right answer. Question 28. The table shows the results of adding the 3 metals P, Q, and R to dilute hydrochloric acid and to water. What is the order of reactivity of the metals? Metal P produced hydrogen with both dilute hydrochloric acid and water. Metal Q had no reaction with both of them. Metal R produced hydrogen only with dilute hydrochloric acid. While the answer is quite obvious, the one that managed to react and produce hydrogen the most is the most reactive one. So P is the most reactive, followed by R, then Q. The answer is A. Question 29. Compound X is heated with carbon using the apparatus shown. A brown solid is formed in the reaction tube and the lime water turns cloudy. We have the options here, they're all oxide compounds. There is carbon added together with it, so it will form carbon dioxide as one of its products, and that is what made the lime water turn milky. We're left with the cation of the compound, and this cation is the one that formed the brown solid. Well, which of these is the colored ion? Calcium, magnesium, and sodium are all white solid. They are either in group 1 or 2, but copper 2 is a transition metal, and it is usually brown or black. So the answer is B, copper 2 oxide. Question 30. Zinc is extracted from zinc blende. Zinc blende is an ore of zinc and consists of mainly of zinc sulfide. One of the steps in the process involved zinc sulfide reacting with oxygen from the air. What is the equation for this reaction? To answer this question, obviously, you'll need to know the process of extraction of zinc in detail. The reason why zinc sulfide is reacted with oxygen is to produce zinc oxide. So the answer is either A or C. But once sulfur ion is displaced, it will react with oxygen as well and form SO2. Check that everything is balanced. And yep, the answer is A. 2 zinc sulfide plus 3O2 gives 2 zinc oxide and 2 sulfur dioxide. Question 31. The diagram shows the carbon cycle. Carbon dioxide in the atmosphere being made and used at the same time. Fossil fuels from dead animals and coal, oil, and natural gas made from it and being used by humans who again produce carbon dioxide, which process is shown by the arrow marked X. It's carbon dioxide being produced from the trees into the atmosphere. While obviously not combustion, nothing's burning here. While you might think that it's photosynthesis because it's something related to plants, but nah, photosynthesis produces oxygen, so that can't be the answer. It's respiration where plants respire, take in oxygen, and release carbon dioxide as a waste gas. Transpiration is a water movement process, so it has nothing to do with this diagram. The answer is C. Question 32. A catalytic converter removes harmful gases from motor car exhaust. Which reaction does not take place in a catalytic converter? This is another popular question, and there are only two major reactions, so just memorize them. Firstly, oxides of nitrogen will be reduced to N2 and O2 gases. Then carbon monoxide will be oxidized to carbon dioxide. So A and C are correct. Let's look at D. This equation is actually the sum of these two equations. NO2 plus CO are the same reactants, and N2 and CO2, the same products are made. That makes D correct as well. That leaves B out where it says carbon dioxide is changed to carbon monoxide. The whole point of this catalytic converter is to reduce harmful gases being produced, so there's no way that they'll purposely produce poisonous carbon monoxide. So option B does not take place. Question 33. The diagram shows some reactions of substance Y. When it's heated with an ammonium compound, it forms ammonia. When it's heated with dilute acid, it forms a salt. Which type of substance is Y? This type of questions are simple if you know the answer, but can be impossible if you have no idea on this topic. Only one substance reacts with an ammonium compound to produce ammonia, a base. This is a common reaction, so remember this. And does a base react with dilute acid when heated? Yep, they do, and yes, they form a salt. The answer is B, a base. Question 34. Which row shows the conditions for the manufacture of sulfuric acid? Alright, again, unfortunately, we're supposed to know these facts by heart. The pressure should be 2 atm at temperature 450 degrees Celsius, and catalyst is vanadium pentoxide. Question 35. Air containing an acidic impurity was neutralized by passing it through a column containing substance X. Acidic air is passed through substance X and it becomes neutralized. What is substance X? Obviously, it's something that neutralized the acid, so it should be some kind of a base. A. Calcium oxide. It's a base. This might be the answer. B. Sand. It's slightly acidic, so nope. C. Sodium chloride. This guy is salt. It's neutral at pH level 7. D. Concentrated sulfuric acid. You can tell from its name, it's acidic. So the answer is A. Calcium oxide. Question 36. In an oil refinery, petroleum is separated into useful fractions. The diagram shows some of these fractions. What are fractions X, Y, and Z? Okay, sorry for keep asking you guys to memorize so many stuff, but you need to memorize this too. Know the sequence of the fractions well, and questions like this will give you 3 marks. It starts from refinery gas, gasoline, then X, then diesel oil. Between gasoline and diesel oil, there's paraffin, or sometimes referred to as kerosene. Then after diesel oil, it's fuel oil. Then lastly, it's bitumen at the bottom. Question 37. Which reaction does not take place in the dark? There are certain reactions that do not take place in the dark because they are photochemical reactions. They need energy from light to break off the bonds. One example in organic chemistry is the reaction between alkanes and chlorine. So from our options here, A and B involve alkanes, and we have chlorine at B, where it formed chloromethane and HCl, the perfect example of photochemical reaction. Question 38. Ethane and ethene are both hydrocarbons. Ethane reacts with chlorine and ethene reacts with bromine. Which row describes the type of reaction that ethane and ethene undergo? When ethane reacts with chlorine, it becomes like this. Chlorine atom has substituted the hydrogen atom. Substitution took place. When ethene reacts with bromine, it becomes like this. Double bond has been broken and bromine atoms were added. Addition took place. The answer is D. Substitution and addition. Question 39. Esters are made by reacting an alcohol with a carboxylic acid. Which acid and alcohol react together to form the following ester? This is the carboxylic acid part, and this is the alcohol part. Just count the number of carbon atoms in each of them. There are 3 for carboxylic acid and 1 for alcohol. Therefore, this ester was made from propanoic acid and methanol. Question 40. Which structure represents a polymer? You have probably seen these diagrams before in your textbook. A is often used to show the structure of graphite, which has layers of atoms joined together that are able to slide over each other. B is a tetrahedral, used to describe silicon 4 oxide or diamond. C is a polymer, often used in organic chemistry. D is a structure of an ionic compound like sodium chloride. So the answer is C. We've finally come to the end of this paper. I hope this video was helpful for you guys. If it was, please like or comment on my video and make sure you subscribe to be ready for your IGCSE exams. Thank you for watching, stay safe, and God bless you guys. Bye!